I'm a beast, got jungle fever. Don't smoke, but I break down the chiba, Feel my senorita, you should be her. Buenos dias, clean up, clean cut, bitch impressed with stock beamers. I won't properly dual citizen with the visa. My niggas Ninja Turtles, call me Martrice Sensei. Knock him, mold me a nigga, get out.
Hey, what's up? This is Bella, your ghetto poet reporting live from San Francisco at Edge Studios. And we have my producer, Paul, here. Say hi, Paul.
Hi, Miss Bella.
Hello. And we also have a very special guest. So we have Tiny here from Poor Magazine. Ooh. Would you like to introduce yourself, Tiny?
Well, you know, there's a price on my head because I don't got money for a roof or a bed. So I'm a poverty scholar, that houseless mama, that houseless daughter. All those people they don't want to see, never want to be, look away from we. What you going to do? Oakland, Berkeley, Frisco, L.A., arrest we? We're in your city. We're in your city. Yeah, I'm a poverty scholar. I robbed my jailhouse attire, not because orange is the new black. Don't believe any of that crack. Hollywood will always sell you that. It's because me and my po mama did jail time for the poverty crime of being houseless in this occupied indigenous holler. I'm a poverty scholar, the melanin challenged daughter of a strong Afro-Boricua mama for without whom there would be no me. A mama soltera and a welfare queen.
So that is Tiny Snap. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
I had just seen recently that they had passed something and I had received an email. Would you like to talk about that?
Oh, God. Well, first of all, I think it's important for your listeners, a lot of whom, you know, is our family. So shout out to all our relatives out there, the poor family, familia de prensa pobre, all of the warriors. We love you. Shout out to Auntie Francis and Israel and Juju and Angel Heart and Muteado Silencio Presente, Mi Alegro and D. Allen and so many more. So we'll shout out everybody by the time I'm out of here. You already know. But I do want to say that me and Ma started Poor Magazine, for those of you who don't know out there, while we were still sleeping in our car in doorways, on the streets, wherever the cops and the police didn't arrest us as quickly, or as wherever the hater housed ruling class. And I do say that because it was the people who assume sometimes that folks are houseless, and then they make assumptions, and with those assumptions they call 911. And shout out to Luis Dimitro Gongora, Pat Ibaye, who should be here today. Shout out to Stephen Taylor and Mario Gonzalez, other warriors who, you know, were being helped by a police car, a police call. So anyway, me and Ma started Poor Magazine while we were on the street, and it's a poor and indigenous and houseless people-led movement. We went, as a poor people movement, our lives are entwined with our movement, right? And, you know, there's nothing to be glamorized about that. It's not cute. Those situations almost killed me. Multiple, ending up in jail. Like I said in my slam bio, I don't say that to be, you know, funny. I did 3 months in Santa Rita because it's a crime to sleep outside. You know, but we in this occupied indigenous holler, and I say that again, I'm deconstructing some of these terms. These is all stolen land. It's also stolen black land. It's stolen migrante land. In other words, the peoples upon whose lands we're sitting, standing, walking, and being are not the ones who are guiding us. These wealthy white men who originally stole the land, I call them the stealing fathers, right? They're the ones who are making the laws that we live under. And so I just digressed about 3,000 times there with your question, but what I want to bring us back to is I don't speak about anything that I haven't lived, struggled through, practically died through, and survived, right? I don't teach or speak on anything I haven't activated and walked. And it enrages me right now because, to go back to your question, as of Friday, June 28th, the supreme dragons, Supreme Court of the land, of the occupied land, of the United Snakes of Americlan, decided in their infinite wisdom, air quotes, 6-3, that they were going to make it formally illegal to sleep on the street. It's already been, and I need people to understand that poor and houseless and disabled people are never safe in this occupied land. It isn't like things are changing. That's why so many of our relatives die from police brutality, die from these, acts that are all raced and classed. And you and I have talked about them and fought about them for years. And shout out to my badass sister Bella Martrice right here in the house, speaking the truth, fellow PovertySkola. But I want to say that it's now codified into the law in a deeper and more terrifying way. And I need people to understand the seriousness of that.
I don't think they do, because it's like, I'm looking at, let's say, for example, like Social Security and people that are disabled right now, they cannot afford market rate rent. It's like we are living in a time right now where everything's expensive. They're artificially, you know what I'm saying, like inflating the food price. Well, not artificially inflating the food prices, but they're making the food smaller and making it more expensive. Right. And we just was talking about earlier, they're putting some terrible things. We was talking about like, what is it in cherry? They're putting beaver ass to enhance the flavor of
all kinds
of stuff. So I feel like within our communities, I'm a poverty scholar. So like one thing that we did when I was a scholar, I'm always a scholar, but they called food deserts. And oftentimes when living in certain environments, it's like there's not access to there's not access to fresh fruits and vegetables and organic food and stuff like that. In which, if you look at the people who are in the community, those are the people that are suffering from obesity, the people that are suffering from diabetes and all these things. And it has to do with, the economy and everything else, like oppression.
It actually has to do with the United Snakes. Right?
Exactly.
It does, because
exactly.
if you look at it across the globe, let's just take food. You think about sugar and corn syrup, like high fructose corn syrup. That's our cash crop. If you go to Asia, their primary source is like soy, right? And so that's their cash crop. So everything that you get delivered on a plate has some form of corn.
Yeah.
From the hamburger that the cow that ate the cornmeal, right?
Right.
There's the ketchup that has the high fructose corn syrup. There's corn whatever in the enriched bread. We've been fed so much of this garbage.
Yeah.
For so many decades, and it's not just the food.
Exactly.
It's systemic. It's the entire society. We know it from laws, like you just mentioned. What happened in the Supreme Court?
That's
horrible.
Right.
Really?
So it's called, just for listeners to understand, I want to go back to what I call the poor people's plate. So let's circle back to that, but I just want to go back again. We're going to go back and forth all day, relatives. Grants Pass versus Johnson. Was a challenge, essentially saying that the Eighth Amendment of what I call the Constitution, because it ain't our Constitution, Indigenous peoples, Black and brown, migrante peoples, it's not our Constitution, relatives. It was created by people to support other rich, white, wealth hoarding, land stealing people. So let's get that, let's get that clear. But anyway, under the Eighth Amendment, we're supposedly afforded this protection, and that was what Grants Pass versus Johnson was about, right? Unfortunately, it was overturned by this bizarre Mickey Mouse Supreme Dragon Court. What does that mean? That means that these cops who come up on houseless folks who are sleeping, standing, walking, breathing, living while houseless, sleeping especially, can be picked up, can be cited, can be arrested, and can be incarcerated. There's a multitude of things that come out of that, and I want to shout out again to the Coalition on Homelessness in the city. We're in Occupy Del Amo, Frisco right now, who also challenged that law and says that even with Grants versus Johnson, Grants Pass versus Johnson, their lawsuit is going to continue because their lawsuit was also about the theft of belongings. Because guess what? When we outside, when we arrested, when we incarcerated, they also steal all of our things. This is no longer my computer. This is trash because my body is seen as trash when I'm outside. So going back to that and finishing that piece just so the people understand the seriousness of it, we have to deeply, deeply recognize the roots, as our co-host here said, because the roots of the systemic ability for that even to happen is the world that we're living in right now. The world that has beautiful communities like Wood Street Commons, over 400 relatives, providing love for each other, providing free store, free food, healthy food, we just talked about, being swept like we are trash. And so something I always say is, stop sweeping me. I'm not trash. No matter how many times you jail me, study me, or sweep me, it doesn't give me a home. And you can't incarcerate out of poverty. So let's just leave that for a second and recognize, for those of you who might be listening and are trying to unpack this, we're going to be releasing a denial to accept or decline to accept. And it's going to be on Zoom. If you want to find out more, you can go to www.poormagazine.org. You can sign up for the Zoom, or you can go to Poor News Network on YouTube later tomorrow, and you can see the whole thing. But basically, we, as Black, Brown, houseless, Indigenous people from many places, from occupied Lenape, a.k.a. Philly, where Mama's from, North Philly, to L.A., Tongva, Toongar, shout out to Etna Street Solidarity and Reclaiming Our Homes, and Oakland, Auntie Francis, and Homefulness, a homeless people's solution to homelessness. We are rejecting that ruling on the basis that that Constitution isn't ours, that this is stolen land, and that actually we're demanding reparations for Black and Brown people. We're demanding land back for First Nations people. And we're demanding the decriminalization of so-called, but not really, public land. Because relatives, we have to start thinking in a decolonial way. That is our solution. Not begging politricksters who ain't never cared about us anyway for a crumb, but building our own. And that's what self-determination is, which gets us back to the poor people's plate. There are many folks who are growing our own food because we know that it's intentional, what Sister Bella talked about. The reason they put all that ish in there, and like you talked about the corn, is because they make money when we get diabetes and heart disease. That's the same pyramid scheme, right? When you go in to the doctor and you got to get all those big pharma drugs, who do you think gets paid? Shout out to my mama D, for without whom there be no me. She rejected their non-pill cocktail and said, you know what? I want what you give those rich white people. I want cardio rehab. And you know what they did? They called the pigs on her. And it was like a whole sci-fi horror movie where we're dragged out of UCSF. And it was it's a whole thing, fam. But you know, Mama, she didn't stop. She's like, you motherfuckers. Anyway, I don't know if I can swear. I'm sorry. But it went there, okay? That said, unfortunately, we get addicted to those things. They spend millions of dollars in science labs, seeing how can we make red dye number 2 taste good so that we can fill your hot Cheetos with it, and then you can pay us every day $3 and $4, which goes up to $3 and $4 billion to kill yourself. Yeah.
And it's even deeper than that. Like you said at UCSF, people don't understand, like, you could be placed in a mental institution and have to receive forced medication. You could be forced medicated in these institutions. So by them, even like a police officer who isn't educated, they're miseducated, a lot of them, who suffer, from
many lies.
Many, years of lies, they're the ones that's in power that's able to put you in jail. You could. I be looking homeless sometimes, like I'll walk to the store and I'll just have my hair all wild and I like dressing,
Right.
Somebody
Somebody put
low
$1
class.
in my hat the other day.
Really?
I was looking pretty bad, Bella.
I mean, but what I'm saying is imagine the fear of going outside, though, because I know there's times to where, let's say if I'm dressed like this, I get treated totally different than when I'm like,
well, that's profiling.
Right, racial profiling,
right.
class profiling.
Yeah, all that. And ableism,
Right.
shout out to Leroy Moore, my sister, our brother.
Our brother.
I'm sorry, Leroy. I'm a cognitive misgender you. No. Anyway, so he's down in UZLA. Yes, I do call it that. University of Zionist Los Angeles or University of Zombies LA. But that said, he's there, getting his PhD, right? You go, bruh. You go with your bad self. They give him a full ride because of all his badass work with Poor and with Hip Hop Nation. He gets profiled by the pigs. They roll up on him and say, "Are you drunk?"
Right.
And make him get off his scooter. Anyway, so there's this constant ways in which we're criminalized. Our bodies are criminalized. And yeah, you can end up in the grips of those systems without even knowing what happened to you. So I do want to lift up, in terms of that 5150, we have a whole entire series of work about 5150. Oh, okay. We have a whole... Sorry, guys. I like to...
I'm also director, producer.
I gotta post it. No, that's how bad I am, fam. I love it. I love you, bruh. I love you. It's okay. Post-it note works. I can put it right there. I like that. Okay, because I'm always doing wrong dash shit. No, I just want. I want to stop for a second to talk about ableism in that, right? Because it's real. What is quote unquote crazy?
Right.
Right. So there's that piece about. I do this line in one of my pieces. Is called. Anti-social workers and case manglers call me crazy, lazy, dumb, and a bum because my knowledge don't come from the institution. And I just want to go back again to the concept of poverty scholarship. What are we even talking about there, right? I mean, for me and Ma, it was about creating our own poor people theory, about saying, you know what? Just because you pay thousands of dollars to an institution started by eugenicists, that doesn't mean you know more than us. We survived through more-ish than we could even name. And that's called scholarship, right? Who's the scholar and who's the scholar for life? I have a piece, Anthropology, Ethnography, Psychology, the study about us without us. Our spirits, our cultures, our traditions through your lens, deconstructing our struggle while our communities are dismantled and left in rubble. Acquired with academic privilege, linguistic domination gifts, long ago sorted and separated in the Americlan school systems, the myth of independence and the cult of inclusion. How are you going to fly to Oakland, Bangladesh, and Arkansas, and not so much as slice off a piece of your access, privilege? Yeah, that's what I saw. So we got a new form of story making, picture taking, and theory creating. It's called poverty scholarship. And it's a new sistership, brothership, not a fellowship. It's poverty scholarship. So just lifting in that for a second and recognizing for any relatives out there listening that we're told a whole lot of mess when we're poor people. We have this shame that we're walking around with. And those are lies. Those are lies. Those are lies that they want to keep you down so that you are silenced. And, I think that's a perfect segue for us to lift up Poor Press right now, because that's why we do Poor Press. We're going to ask our beautiful co-host over there to pull up Poor Press. Yeah, and here he goes. because basically Poor Press, along with Poor Magazine, one of the things we do is teach journalism We don't really teach each other how to write. We know how to write. We don't teach each other how to speak. We know how to speak. We teach each other not to be ashamed to write and to lift up our voices and sing. Because guess what? We do have voices. They are loud and proud. And don't even get me started on the concept of ghetto and what that even means and what it's even about. It's called knowing what you need and speaking on it. And so, yeah, we create books too. Poor Press, our beautiful, fabulous sister Bella Martrice.
Oh yeah,
She
I
put it-
published my books,
Please
all
tell
of
us-
them through
Tell us about your book, sis.
Yeah, so I met Tiny when I was a teenager. I actually was in high school or just barely graduated, and I actually went. My first class at Poor Magazine was journalism, and my first article I ever published was published in Poor Magazine. It was on the front page of the National Black newspaper,
Whoop, whoop.
and it also
Baby.
was quoted in a book on democracy in youth. So that was my introduction to journalism, and it was really a big part of my identity because Poor Magazine gave me the tools to. Because remember, I was shy,
Yep.
you know, so like being so young and being a young woman, well, damn teenager, and growing into myself, like it was so empowering for me. Publishing my book at what, 19? My first
Yep.
book I published at 19.
Yep.
And
Yeah, along with Ojai, shout out to Ojai and
Yeah.
Mote and beautiful, beautiful books for our youth and media program. And it's telling our stories.
I feel like that was really important because it really shaped my self-esteem, my identity. It was
Oh.
people be and it's so funny like when you talk about like when we talk about things like elitism and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, oh, you want to be a journalist? I was like, no, I'm a published journalist. I'm a published journalist.
I
Check
don't
the
want
baby.
that
It's
part.
done. Like, no,
Right.
I'm quoted in the book. No, I published the book. We would go to what? Like, we'll go to radio shows and
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like a teenager.
Yep.
So when people be like, oh, you want to do that? That's so nice. It's like, I've been doing this since I was a teenager.
Yep.
So,
A lot of patronizing BS.
yeah, like,
But it's
yeah.
also that whole thing of like, again, profiled, right? Because we ghetto, because we poverty
Right.
scholars. Oh, you must, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so like, oh, this is great because you happen to reach. No, we got voices. We have scholarship. We know what we need. Well, we need this to be listened to. And that's one of the pieces that I think it's important to go back to as we're circling again back to this very crazy moment. But here's this
Poor
beautiful, tell us what it's about. Come
I
on
brought
now.
you here to interview you. I already talked about my book.
Okay, well, I just want to lift up my sister's book because
Thank
it's
you.
badass. Okay, and if
Yes,
you
it
want to
is.
see any of the other books, they're on poorpress.net. And it's actually an amazing and beautiful. If you go to the front page of Poor Magazine, you can go see where it says store. You click on store, and then that takes you right there. And I just want to talk for a minute about some of the books. There's a shout out to Lori Herrera, to Ingrid de Leon,
Hola, Ingrid.
to Angel Heart, to Sister Auntie Francis, the original herstory. And
Hey,
then
that book looks really familiar.
I know, right?
right? And then we've got, of course, the anthologies like the Homefulness Handbook, How to Build a Homeless, Landless, Poor People's Solution to Homelessness. Shout out to Chimali, Indigenous Conciencia by Mote, Where's My Address by Lisa Ganser, a badass warrior from occupied Pacific Northwest, Crip Lyrics, Valvetta, Audrey Candy Corn's books with her babies, and How to Not Call the Police. I just want to speak on that for a second, too, and I'll come back to the rest. So, as we're talking about these resistance moves, right, there's a lot of de-educating that our communities need to do. So many of the warriors who have been killed, young black and brown women and men, happened because their families call 911. And I get it that we've all been taught that's the only numbers to call. when you have an, quote, mental health crisis, when you have an emergency. But if you know Tiny, you know that I say don't touch that dial. Don't touch those numbers. Because the reality is, yeah, maybe they'll come out and maybe they'll de-escalate, but the higher possibility is they'll come out with guns and solve your problem by killing your daughters and sons. I want to lift up so many of our relatives, again, like Luis Gongora Pat, who, even though the lady didn't mean any harm, she was, can I swear in this room?
Oh, yeah.
She was what I call a product of gentrification. A gentrifucker herself, although, right? I'm just being real. Although, well-meaning, right? And I always say, let's unpave the well-intentioned roads to hell, family, because there's so many and they're so deeply filled with BS. But she made a phone call because she was worried about Luis Gongora, who's family of ours. He's an ancestor now because of that phone call. I was in the mission right here in occupied Yalamu. She was worried about him. And the only reason she was worried about him, air quotes, is because she just got there. And she had no relationship and no point of reference to know that always walked around with the soccer ball tweaking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just what he did. He never hurt nobody. He was a recycler. He was a peaceful man. He was a father, an uncle, a brother, a son. But he was ripped of his personality and his human, right? He no longer was seen, and going back to that notion of profiling that we were talking about. Because now he was just this perpetrator who this woman had no context for and had the right, if you will, to make a phone call. Now, she thought 311 didn't lead to 911, but guess what, relatives? It does. It does. In the city, they're trying to disentangle that still, but it hasn't happened yet, to be real with you. In many cities, it's a direct through line all the time. And so you're not doing anything by calling one or the other. You call on a mental health crisis to those numbers, you're putting your family at risk. So we teach people in a series of workshops called How to Not Call the Police Ever. And we also put out a handbook, which is an anthology. Shout out to Jeremy Miller and so many other warriors who contributed to that book. It's a beautiful anthology of poetry and verse, but it's also a solution, fam, because I don't like to be blah, blah, blah and complaining and whining. I know it's not how I roll. We talk about solutions. What were you going to say, babe?
And then too, it was funny. I was I remember this story. Remember, Tiny?
Yes.
Remember we wrote about it on the Revolutionary blog.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
oh my God! So it was this one time I walked into a bar, and my uncle Ben, rest in peace, he's like, "You're 86." I didn't know what that meant at the time. So I was on my way to a poetry reading.
Right.
And so Ben decides he has this fancy idea of choking me out with this pool stick, right? So I'm on the ground. I'm leaving out. I got my little pit bull puppy. And I'm on the literally at the bar at Molotov's on Haight Street.
Right.
And I'm on the ground. I'm so damn mad. I'm like, I just got out of jail the weekend before. So I'm like, oh my God, that was the worst place ever. I'm about to call the police on this motherfucker. I swear to you, I'm so scared of the police after this. So the police come. I'm mad, raging, pissed off, right? On Haight and Fillmore, like Haight, Fillmore area.
Right.
The police get there. I'm so goddamn mad. They're like, get in the car. And I looked at him. I said, who get in the fucking car? I called your fat ass. I'm so mad, right? Oh my God. They wrestled with me. I don't know for how long. I would not get in that damn. I got arrested.
Right. Of course.
I was so. I'm like, I just got choked out with a fucking pool stick. I called you, motherfucker. What the fuck you mean get in the car? Hell yeah, I'm mad, bitch. You know, like, what the fuck you mean? Could you call? Hell no. Shit, I called you not to hit this motherfucker. And then now, look, The neighborhood laughs because the whole thing is I literally was out there wrestling with the motherfucker. They probably got a video of me. If you got that video of me with the police,
Yeah, let's bring that up.
send it
right
to
now.
me. Send it to me.
We'll bring it up right now. Here, like,
For real. Oh, good. I'll be like, rewind.
one of our
Good.
viewers just sent it in. Here we go.
Good. I need a lawsuit. I was like, I ain't get my ass whooped for free no more. So police, guess what? I'm gonna give you your respect, but that was the last free ass whooping you got from me. Then when I got down to 850, I didn't really know because I was upset. You feel me?
Of course.
So I'm pissed off and I'm at 850 or whatever. Oh my God, them bitches beat the shit out of me, them police women. So I done already been wrestling with fat ass on Hate Street that I called the policeman. I done got choked out with a pool stick. Now I'm getting jumped by the San Francisco police bitches.
Oh my God.
Do you know that
Bruh.
I was praying because these
Yes.
bitches know how to do things that will hurt the fuck out of
Yeah.
you. And mind you, I'm in cuffs. They beating the shit out of me. I'm on the
And
ground.
not leaving any bruises.
Oh, they didn't leave any. Oh no, they
look
beat
at
my
that.
ass. So no, them bitches beat my ass. So I could tell who got their ass whooped before after that ass
I'm
whooping.
from another city in the Bay, and they like.
Wait, let me finish.
Go ahead.
I'm praying to God because they beating my ass that bad. If you ain't never had your ass whooped to where you was in prayer with God conversation, you ain't got that ass touched good yet. So, and God was like, say you pregnant. I start screaming, I'm pregnant. So them hoes flee like roaches, but they brought me to the infirmary. You know,
Yeah,
with the
of
hospital
course.
part.
Yeah.
And they made the first thing they did, they made me take a test, and it was a black woman. You know, shout out to her. She was like, stop. I'm like, what? She was like, they will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like, you were arrested for, what the fuck was I arrested for? She said, what is it called when you drinking?
Public intoxication.
Public intoxic. I hadn't even had a fucking drink yet.
Wow.
I was on my way to a reading. I saw somebody I knew had the interaction with my uncle. I mean, he's known for choking out bitches. So I don't know why nobody didn't help me.
Right.
And then I ended up getting my ass whooped. So anyway, they let me out in the morning. So I never had a public record. Anytime I've interacted with the police, I've been sexually assaulted by the police. I've gotten a fight. Well, I got my ass kicked that day. Twice, but like people don't. If you've never been through that, I'm scared of them motherfuckers.
Did
My
they ever
heart
drop
start
the case
beating.
because they.
Hell yeah! What case? They didn't have one.
Well, I was gonna say you can't be busted for public intoxication if you never get a breathalyzer or any.
I never got.
blood
Well, the
test
thing
or
was
something.
is that. No, I was upset.
Right.
So I called you. Why wouldn't I be upset?
Right.
But that's
You're mad because my voice is being raised. How you think I feel if I'm them fucking got choked out?
yeah.
So therefore, when it comes, I do not trust the motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. I'm afraid of them. And what else I'm afraid of is cowards, because all them people, there was multiple people that sat there and didn't say
Nothing.
shit.
that part.
That's
That
what
part.
scared me.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Capitalism.
Talking to the mic.
Oh, yeah, You
Capitalism.
can bring it up now. Then
Okay.
I'm taking it off. It's
Thank
a little-
you. Capitalism killed everything, even our patience.
I was having a problem staying up. So it wouldn't go down. Now it won't stay up.
Right.
And that's funny.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm gonna keep.
You're gonna make this happen.
I'm gonna make
Oh,
it
there you
happen.
go.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
make it
babe.
You
happen.
go.
Hey, no, I wanna repeat that, family. So I do call it capitalism, not capitalism, because it is a bunch of cracker crap, rooted in again white supremacy, and I don't put an H in that white because it doesn't have to do with color. It has to do with systemic hate. That said, capitalism killed everything, even our patience. I know, sis, and she goes off, and she's just like my mama, and there ain't much you can do to calm her down when she on that. But the reality is, listen what Bella said. Nobody stood up for her. Nobody stood with her. That's typical in this system. I got mines. I don't need a problem. I'm gonna look the other way. That's some BS. That's not how a village operates. And I want to lift up and I want to talk a little bit about village as a solution, because community, and that's the way I break that down, is our only resistance to capitalism. Capitalism teaches us, as I say in one of my poems, the cult of separation and the myth of independence. We operate radically interdependent. That isn't the same as codependent. It ain't no cult. But for instance, us poor and houseless indigenous people, black and brown, are all nations, all generations, are building homefulness. A homeless people's solution to homelessness. It ain't just a dream. Tiny don't do no dreaming and no talking like that. Mama didn't raise no talker. I am mama-festing every day with my relatives and my community. And so we are currently, the 21st houseless family just moved into homefulness, rent-free forever housing. Because it ain't just about a roof, relatives. It's about a solution and it's about healing.
May I ask you a question, Tiny? Could you just break down what homefulness is?
Yes.
As far as housing?
Yes.
I was there when the ground was broken.
Yes. Well,
so could you?
I want to. Yes, I shall. And I want to. I just want to do one through line to the police example. Why did I digress and jump to that from that? Because homefulness is a landless poor people's movement that we decide together to never engage with the police, to never engage with the system that's going to lead to our death, arrest, or setup. And I want to just name that so they all come together. So bookmark that for a second, put a pin in it. When me and Mom were on the street, back to the very beginning of this beautiful day with Martrice, we were back on the street, struggling to stay in doorways, struggling to stay free, struggling to get through another day, to be real. Me and Mom were vendedores, we're poor people laborers. We sold on the street to survive. My mom was an orphan, mixed race, ghetto, Afro-Boricua orphan who'd been abused and tortured in what she called torture homes. So, you know, she didn't have a whole lot of bandwidth to take a whole lot of shit, is the truth. And when she was laid off of her job that she got after so much work, where she was doing revolutionary love work, not antisocial work, she couldn't continue. She said, I can't keep on keeping on. So that's how we ended up on the street. We couldn't pay the rent no more. And I always say to people, see those houseless mamas and daughters sleeping in a tent? That's because we don't got money for the rent. So when we were sleeping in those doorways and bus benches and shelter beds and cars, when we were lucky enough to have a hoopty, Ma said, you know, isolation kills. And poor single parents are some of the most isolated people there is, right? For all kinds of reasons, all kinds of web of reasons. And so at that point, we dreamed and we visioned together. Me and Ma were always fighting and fussing about what we could do to get out of our situation. It was like the never-ending discussion. But one of the things we decided at that time is that we visioned the solution called homefulness. Fast forward 28 years, we living in homefulness. And that's huge. It's huge, right? It is all that thing. Just hold that, relatives. So to go back to Bella's question, it's really simple, but it's not really simple, right? It's a combination of hard and simple all together. At its core, we teach folks with race and class privilege about radical redistribution. No, we do not operate with philanthropy grants. We do not have no government funding. We do not have bankster loans. We teach people with race and class privilege, hoarded and stolen wealth and occupied land, how to radically redistribute to folks who have none, to take some of their extra and support other people's who have not at all. And that comes through a thing we call People School. And going back to the website, maybe we can show listeners how that looks and where to get to it. If you go back to Poor Magazine website, just so people want to see, how do I get in People School? I'm ready to figure out how to radically redistribute.
How do you get back to home?
Go to home. Does it let you go to home, or just go arrow, point back? I don't know if it does.
Arrow back. Sorry.
That's okay.
Right there.
Just go to there. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Education. Click on the down. Yeah, and People School.
Shout out People School.
Okay. So People School. We have People School for poverty scholars like Bella was and Moot was and Ojai. and our youth and media. We have youth scholar programs, and we have Decolonize Academy, which we'll get to in a minute. But People School is for basically folks with different forms of race and class privilege. It comes up, the next one comes up in Black August 24 and 25th. And for any poverty scholars out there, you come to the first day. The second day and the first day are for folks who are housed and have privilege, but you come to the first day, and then we get you in on another layers of internal classes. We got our Poor People Journalism happening now. We got our Poor People's Radio. So please, so this is for everybody. It's not one people the other, but folks who have resources need to unlearn a whole lot of bullshit about success, about hoarding as a solution, about I got mines philosophy, about the lies of collecting and who gets to be seen as a collector and who gets to be seen as a hoarder, and how those are race and class positions, right? So there's a whole lot of miseducation, as Bella's talking about, and that we need a whole lot of positive liberation education.
And how would they donate?
Well, you can go to poormagazine.org and just click on donate, and then you can get to everything. But if you want to just go Venmo or PayPal, you can go Venmo, POOR, poor-magazine. But on the front page of the site, you can click donate, and it gets you the red button right there. Yeah.
Right, I'm circling it right there. It turns green when you hit it. You know
exactly.
that? Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, you guys can make it turn green too.
There
All you have to do is go and donate today.
I love that. I love that. You too. Wait, hold up. Sorry. You too can make it green.
Yeah.
But what I want to just go back to for a sec is that notion of how and where people got that twisted idea about I got mines and perpetuating the violent act of looking away, and that's what we teach our young people too. That's how violent it is. So going back to Bella's question, which is really important to just tie it together. Us poor and houseless people didn't have 2 nickels to put together. We actually created this vision, and then, is there something you need to tell me?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. We created this vision of homefulness, and we started to teach folks with race and class privilege, and essentially 11 years later, and a whole lot of drama and trauma later, and shout out to Lori McElroy, Ibaye, who should still be here with us, but homelessness kills relatives. Mm-hmm. It's not cute. Bruce Allison, who should still be here with us. Homelessness kills. Kathy Galvez, homelessness kills. And Julio Chavez, homelessness kills. But these and many other warriors taught, and we were able to get enough blood-stained dollars, which we turned into love-stained dollars, as I often say, and buy this small part of Mama Earth in Deep East Uchun, Oakland. And now we actually, over 11 years, built from the ground up
Absolutely
21 units of housing, rent-free forever housing. And a school and a radio station and all kinds of stuff, and everybody's welcome to be part of it. It's a community. It's a village. We don't call the pigs. We love each other, and we also fight because we ain't some hippie cult relatives. We are always having problems, okay?
right.
Healing is not easy. It is not facile. Capitalism killed everything, even our patients. And decolonizing your mind from the 911 call is also hard as fuck. I'm going to be real about that, because that means you're talking and holding each other accountable. And people don't want to hold all the shit they've done a lot of times. Let's be real. It's a lot easier to just let it go and keep it moving. So homefulness right now is happening. We work together with our relatives from Wood Street Commons. Yeah. Okay, we work together with folks in L.A., reclaiming our homes. Edna Street, we're trying to build homefulness in L.A. We're trying to help folks down there build their own vision of it. We don't build it. We just help them and stand with them. We're trying to carry it to occupied Pacific Northwest. So many of our folks are dying in those streets right now. There's up to 6 people a day dying from the violence of homelessness.
And if it didn't go out, because you killed my power.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I just thought oh my God. Welcome to
You
Tech.
thought you had went deaf.
I thought I went deaf. I apologize.
And what about the school? Because my daughter actually attended Decolonize Academy, and she was reading Asada Shakur when she was like, what, 5 years old? No, like literally.
Actually, yes.
Yeah,
she was.
literally.
That's so
And
real.
also, all of the kids are that graduated are black belts.
Thank you.
My
for
daughter
that.
was also going to Master From. Shout out to Master From. Up in East Oakland. Shout out East Oakland.
Yes.
And so the kids were also going to, fighting
Yeah.
school.
Yep.
Learning how to, what is gardening?
Yeah,
Gardening and stuff like that. They was learning math and everything else. They was learning how to eat properly. They was given nutritious food, non-GMOs and all that kind of stuff. And okay, one more thing I'm going to just
please,
ask
go
before
ahead.
I forget. Okay, when do you guys give away food? When is the
sliding
cafe?
scale. Okay.
Sliding Scale Cafe, right?
So glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So Sliding Scale Cafe is every Thursday, not the farce of you lie, not this Thursday, relatives, but every other Thursday. We actually support over 500 families and elders. They essentially, in the pandemic, right, a lot of the antisocial workers and so-called non-profiteers closed down. We never went anywhere. And ever since day one of coming to Deep East Uchin, Black Arthur, 82nd and Black Arthur, for any of your East Oakland listeners, that's what's up. We love you. 76th and Black Arthur as well. But all that to say, when we got there day one, the first thing we do, if you move in not as a colonizer, if you move in as essentially an interdependent caregiver, which is how we see ourselves, one with community. Right, you're asking permission. You're asking protocol. That's how our ancestors operated. When they went into new territories, they would ask permission. It'd just be, I'm moving into this state that looks cute, and they have a lot of nice stores and all that ish. That's some gentrification mentality. So we were operating right under a de-gentrification model, which is that you ask the community what do they need. Well, in that particular hood, like Bella talked about, deep notion of the food desert. Now, I want to break that down for a minute because, there are our grandmas, our abuelitas, and our mamas and our papas making barbecue, making real shit out of the street and doing beautiful food of their own. But the reality is to get fresh fruit, unless you're growing it, it ain't there. To get fresh meat, unless you got the chicken in the kitchen, you're going to kill him later, which some of our relatives do. Shout out to all the indigenous relatives who have them rolling around the kitchen. But you're not getting that. So how do you get that, right? Well, one of the things we saw is that in fact, wasn't happening in that hood. So we brought in what I call the Mercadito de Cambio, the little market, and the Sliding Scale Cafe. We also knew that so many of our mamas there houseless and all might as well be houseless, 5 to a room smaller than this, desk. Didn't have money for diapers, just like me and Junebug. Shout out to my sister Junebug.
Hey, Junebug.
When we had our babies, I was po as fuck. I was still houseless with Ma. Anna was taking care of my mama who was sick with what took her to the other side. And I had no money at all, not even the EBT crumb, because on paper, I took the IHSS and gave it to my mom so she could get paid for the insanely expensive medicine that she had to take. Anyway, saying all that nightmare, how I got through those years, I don't even know. That's kind of strength of our mamas. We get through some shit that would kill most people. But we keep on keeping on. Some people call it resilient. I call it just put on your shoes and keeping it moving. But anyway, that said, we knew that at that time I had to liberate some diapers from Walgreens and some cheese while I was at it, or I wouldn't eat, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to put anything on my son. I got nicked for that. I did more jail time. That didn't help nobody. It wasn't cute. I don't know. I don't have, even though I walk around the world, if I'm not in persona, which by the way I'm going to talk about that in a minute, looking, white. But somehow my skin privilege doesn't ever help me much because I get jacked immediately by a pig in a store. I don't know what that's about. I think they smell it on me. But anyway, all that to say that we knew that hood we were in needed some liberated diapers, but they didn't need to go in and put their lives at risk. So we started a free diaper, Po Mama's Pañale program, right? Mm-hmm. And so we've got that going on too. And then when the pandemic hit, all we did is amp it up a bit, right? So we had all these things already happening, but then people didn't even have access to food, right? So we started giving fresh produce. Shout out to Deep Medicine Circle and to the Warriors at Berkeley Food Network and to Homies Empowerment. We and a whole bunch of other folks in Planning Justice started to give free, healthy, bougie produce every motherfucking week. And so, right? And so all the families who were caught in that food desert were now living in a liberated reality that they then got to share these expensive, something whole paycheck would charge you $200 walking out with. They got to get that lechuga, that lettuce, that broccoli, all of those greens. And that's what they needed. We say that to say that the other thing that we did when we first got there is that we started the Pachamama Garden, which is a poor people's garden, meaning that there ain't no fences up at Pachamama Garden. Pachamama means Mother Earth. There's access to everything we grow because it belongs to everybody, because Mama Earth is not for sale. And I want to just go back to Mama Earth not being for sale for a second. There's so much BS out there about the commodifying and the buying and the selling of Mama Earth. And that's our first lie. That's our first lie, relatives. We have to decolonize our mind because Mother Earth is under attack. I know everybody on here has heard about climate change, but that's just too easy to say. What that really is about is the endless extraction and destruction of Mama Earth. How do we resist that? We don't have to feel all sad and just go, oh, everything's turning to shit. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be apocalypse. Forget that shit. That's some bullshit. Our young people, like her beautiful daughter, like Tibu, like Amir, like all the warriors in the next generation, the 7 generations, they're going to have to live in this. So no, we ain't giving up. We innovating to liberating. That's what we doing. And so one of those things is to move off extraction and to move into liberation, to move into radical interdependence, meaning that we don't have to worry about scarcity. I can't give this book to Martrice because I have to have it. Well, what about if we both use this book, right? What about if we both share some of that water because we don't have enough? Right. So there's this concept, again, that's so caught in the self-centered lie of Americlan. Having said that, going back to Decolonize Academy, it's with 2 E's. It's spelled a little extra because of Mama D. That was her vision. We just lived in it. And it's a school, a poor mama and poor uncle-led liberation education for all generations. Currently, we have 8 students. Like Bella said, they all eat healthy food. They learn about the food they're eating. Right. They grow the food that they're eating. They are part of martial arts. Yeah, Fromm's martial arts. We love you. They're also part of Brother Mink's meditation class. They also learn real history, not this bullshit that they teach us in these institutional schools. That's going to turn us all into mush, so that we're all on these 24/7 and eating red dye number 2. So no, we need to liberate our education. We need to come back to the solutions that we all have. Oh, Mateo.
And these are real things that's actually happened. I've been there, and I remember I'll be dropping my daughter off, and I wouldn't eat breakfast, and I'll be like waltzing in the kitchen. I'll be like, Tiny be like, here, giving me breakfast and stuff like that. So the interdependence isn't like, because I think a lot of people think Poor Magazine, oh, it's a nonprofit organization, and it's like, no, it's not a nonprofit organization. What it is, like you said, is interdependency. I remember one time I had to drive the big old truck. Remember the van? I was scared, but I had my license. I knew how to drive, but it's about giving back. And in order to even live there, you have to be a part of the community, give back, clean up, teach a class, whatever skill that you have. Like even the math teachers, like we don't do the segregation of age and
Right.
ableism also.
Right.
Like, oh,
Right.
you're disabled, so you can't teach nobody. No, you're disabled and you could teach. You're disabled and you could publish. You're disabled and you could get your PhD. You're a woman and you could talk. Like anything that it just breaks and defies the rules. And that's the reason why I'm here today on this show. And that's why I'm glad she's my first guest, because it started at Poor Magazine.
That's beautiful.
Is to having that liberation. So this is how far that we could go. This is how many years later? I'm about to be 41, dude.
22 years. 22
It's like
or
20.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been like 22 years.
Yep.
And I'm going to go further.
Ooh, of course.
Aren't you in
are.
school right now?
Yeah, I am.
What you going to school for,
I
Tiny?
don't talk about that to
Okay.
many people.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to talk about the movie for a minute.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the movie. I wasn't in it.
I know, because I wanted her finance
I'ma be in
to
the
be.
new-
I
I'ma-
wanted her finance to be in it.
I'm going to be in the next movie.
Okay, you are.
Yeah.
I want to name.
Commit.
Okay, I want to name two things before I forget, because we're running out of time.
Okay.
I want to name that, first of all, thank you for bringing up the aspect of ableism.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out to not only co-founder of Homefulness and Decolonized Academy and brother Leroy Moore, Crip Hop Nation.
That's what I was thinking about.
Right? And also the author of books, which you can get on poorpress.net, which you saw on our website. But also our new teacher, Amir Cornish, who he graduated on the first graduating class of Decolonized Academy. I want to shout out also to Stephanie Grant's son Jay, who's just graduated like a month or a few weeks ago in June. It's a credible, actual diploma. No, you don't got to go somewhere else. You don't got to go to the man's school. This is a rigorous education. It's a real diploma that's witnessed and accepted. Right? But having said that, Amir isn't in the world of, so-called standard knowledge and education. They would say that, somehow his disability would change his ability to teach. But we think the opposite. We think that his disability is actually his scholarship. That's disability justice. In other words, it is nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to try to play with the words. Some people like to say differently abled. Leroy will shut up an MF in a minute if you say that to him. He's like, no, we disabled, okay? Let's get real with that. And so the piece around it is recognizing that knowledge base of disability, access, and justice is just as valid as any other form of knowledge, right? It's just like poverty scholarship. What I coined with Leroy, Crip Hopology, a study of the theory of Crip Hopness. And you should check out Crip Hop Nation Relatives. Definitely dope. And also you can find it on our website. So having said that, though, going back to, where we at right now, it's a lot of things, because we are in this moment of hate for houseless people's bodies. And there is so much deepening hate and so much deepening scarcity from a system that has always been built on how little we can support our folks, not how much they need. All right, so I want you to think of those two terminologies, those two concepts. But having said this, Crushing Wheelchairs is a play that we did, a totally houseless cast based on the violence of sweeping us like we're trash. We as poor and houseless people co-directed the play, put it on in Frisco and Oakland. A shout out to Ayodele Nzinga. And Vallejo, that's right. And it was a beautiful performance, and it was very hard because it's all based on true stories. Thanks to Adrian Diamond. Shout out to Adrian and to my brother Mute and myself and others. We actually created a movie, and I wrote my first screenplay. Martrice talked about me going to school. Yes, believe it or not, I got credit for time served because I got a 6th grade formal education. But believing in my own stuff and sort of not believing in my own stuff, and I'm going to shout out to my ex, Tony Robles, who's family, and I love you too. And he's my son's stepfather. But he, in the middle of me dealing with a severe crisis and mental illness, because I deal with depression every day, sometimes can't even get up, he said, why don't you try this low residency thing? And so I went ahead and tried it, and lo and behold, they gave me a pass. And I raised money because the tuition, a.k.a. ransom, was ridiculously expensive, and I went. And I got an MFA, relatives. What the F? It is what it is. It's okay. I got a PhD in poverty from the streets. That's the one I need the applause for. Right? But I will say that the one thing that school experience gave me, because I wrote a piece, Poverty Scholar Goes to College, the one thing that really gave me is the ability to think, because I was in a quiet place, and instead of running around 3,000 miles a day, I'm also a jailhouse lawyer without a degree. I'm always supporting people being evicted. I'm always supporting, people everywhere. I got to think for a minute, and in that thinking, I went back to the art that I lived for, which is theater, which is writing. That's what keeps me alive. I'm a poet, and if I didn't write poetry every day, I wouldn't survive. Straight the fuck up. So having said that, I wrote my first screenplay, and we filmed it, and we got it out, and it's going to come out in September, October, November, sometime like that. We're in that horrible editing process, and everybody's got to come. We're going to do a big shindig, probably in Tavangar, LA, and also up here in the Bay. But I want people to look for it, because the reality is we can't keep living like this, family.
Right, and I'm sick of watching the movies on Netflix.
Oh,
I'm ready to watch like diversity. Like, I'm sick of seeing the same people, with the same narrative. It's like we're watching a movie last night, and I'm like, I don't want to see nobody's tits.
Okay.
Like, what does this have to do with the story? So I'm just sick of these, or the predictable plots and stuff like that. No, I'm serious. It's like, what does her booty got to do with any of this?
Because that's how they sell. What I'm talking about.
I don't watch it, so
Okay.
I'm happy that you feel
Yeah.
me. Maybe I'll have me a movie too.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna have a movie once you got a damn
already
movie.
are gonna have a movie. You're gonna be in my next movie, fam. Because
Okay.
I'm writing more. I got one more poem to share, but I know I gotta leave here. So what do you need to do though? What do you need from me before I go?
I want to make a pitch for your next book that you're going to write.
Okay.
Okay, so it's really simple. I want your terms and terminology written down like a dictionary.
Okay. Well, it's funny you should say that.
Like United Snakes.
Poems and potionary from a poverty scholar. It's already there, baby.
It's already there. Look at that. See?
Yep.
I'm behind the time.
But you know what? I really appreciate you saying that, because a lot of times I don't talk about the poor people's dictionary.
Oh, I'm in there.
That's right. That's right.
Well, but I mean, so
Yep.
so many people have so many ways of expressing themselves, and your way has just delighted the hell out of me so far.
Okay.
And so I love it. I love it. You what we performers said, broken that fourth wall.
Oh.
And you can see right at us.
Oh, Mateo. I love that.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to say I love you guys. I love all the relatives in this room, including the beautiful dog. Y'all have beautiful vibration. This sis is going places. She already is. She's been there. She's done that. She's going to do more. How about that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That. And I do want to say the other thing that I wanted to bring up is that there is another book coming out. It's going to come out. We know for sure, actually, so I can tell people. And actually, we got to talk about Black August event. But October 13th, the day before Indigenous Peoples Day, a.k.a. what's been known as the Colonizers' Day, a.k.a. the pedophile rapist known as Columbus Day, we're going to be dropping this book called Landmarks and Plaques, Unwashing Occupied Turtle Island. And so if anybody ever knew, it's a little old school, but like old school before 2000, basically, there used to be these tour books put out by the AAA. And I always say jokingly nowadays that those should be called the Triple K, because black folks and black and brown people couldn't go to those places. Those were places that were extremely welcoming, let's just say, of the Crackerlandia of the United Snakes. And that's why they had to put out this thing called the Green Book, which was actually a beautiful book for black tourists because, right, because they literally had to have a guide of where I could go, and the cops wouldn't be called, or the Klan wouldn't come, right? Anyway, so we're riffing off that style guide, if you will, and we're creating this book of resistance marks, and it's got everything from Huey P. Newton's statue to
That's dope.
to the beautiful comfort women, to what's really going on now in so-called San Rafael, which is that they toppled that statue, that monument of that pedophile, Junipero Serra. If people don't know, he was the head missionary in charge who raped and pillaged children, cut off their fingers if they wouldn't speak the colonial alphabet in California. People need to do their herstory, and I don't mean the colonizer herstory, because there was so much genocide, the same like we're dealing with. I also want to say free Palestine, because we're just watching that right now before our eyes. Free Kanake, free West Papua, free Kashmir, free Turtle Island. So anyway, that book's coming out October 13th. At the front of the statue, the old location of the statue in so-called San Rafael. Check it back with us at poormagazine.org to get the address, but please come through. We're going to have Pomo dancers, First Nations, black and brown writers. Martrice is going to come and spit a piece.
Yes, I am.
Because her piece is in the beautiful book. And then the last thing is Black August 17th. Anybody who's listening, if you want to vend, if you want to perform, we're looking for a street dance crew right now. Please hit us up. We're going to have we're calling it Black, Brown, Indigenous Solar Power in Black August. And it's going to be a benefit to try to do off-grid homefulness too. So please come through.
So how would they contact you if they wanted to participate into this event?
Yes. Hit me up. You can go to my Instascam. I'm at PovertySkola, or that's the one with like 1,800 followers, whatever. Or you can go to the community one, which is at Poor Magazine, which it's all one word. It has like 8,000 followers. And DM us. You can also DM us on FaceCrack, Tiny Gray Garcia.
Facebook.
Yeah. Excuse me. And you could also just, if you want to go old school, poormag@gmail.com. That's an email, real simple, poormag, POORMAG @gmail.com.
So I got one more question. It's like, because I feel like everybody know you're a dope revolutionary, What would be something goofy about you, or just something silly about you that no one knows? Because I feel like you're always like, power to the people, and this is what we're doing, and I'm publishing books, and we about to, and it'd be like,
Okay.
I know a different Tiny, so it'd be like, so it's like, I don't know.
Okay, no, wait. I have to say that before
Okay.
I say the goofy part. I have to let people understand. They might be wondering, why am I in a mask? Why I'm wearing my jail suit, right? So I say the revolution is not about it's not about me. My pronoun is we. And what I'm saying is I'm walking through the world. It ain't about what I look like, who I am. I'm all the people that people don't see, never want to look away from we. I am representing all the criminalized, unseen, unheard, houseless relatives who you walk by and not so much as look at or even give a crumb to. So that's who I am, and that's why I am in persona. It is definitely also because I'm a poet and a poverty scholar, but it ain't about who I am. As far as who Tiny is and my dopey self, oh yeah, I do all kinds of dopey things. Why, guys, there's so many. So first of all, I want to shout out to my son, Tibu, who keeps me perpetually annoyed. And also, he's a good young man. He's learning to be a poor people's lawyer, like his abuelita wanted. and his mama dreamed.
Wait, so he's gonna be a lawyer, right?
Uh-huh.
Good, T-Boo. I need me a good lawyer.
Okay. And it's not for money because not trying to do it for profit. But having said that, he's got to make a little something, but it's not through us poor folks, right? But anyway, he keeps me goofy and always is, because he's always got me laughing about something or the other, teasing me. But there's a lot of things about me that are goofy. First of all, I have an obsession with 7-Eleven. When I was a kid and we didn't have a house and nowhere to be, I slept in the backseat of a car or on the street. 7-Eleven is what kept me going, in a sense that it would be my regular place. So now no matter where I go, cheap coffee at 7-Eleven is my savior, right? But now I don't even drink coffee because I can't drink it anymore because my stomach's all effed up. So I just go there and like hang out. It's 7-Eleven with the folks.
Dude, I be
Okay?
that would be something hella weird because I do that too.
Okay, see what I'm talking about.
Proud to the people.
And that's right. And that's just one. Another one is I do a bike ride for Sandy. I don't necessarily think that's goofy, but it's survival. Sometimes I'm also, I also like to dance, and that's my sillier side. And I haven't been able to do that lately. So, hey, street dance crews, salseros, please come through for that Black August 17th so that Tiny can get up in her dance crew. That's all I'm asking for. Give me something to laugh about. So that's one thing, hon. That's about all I got right now.
That's okay. So what about your social, your plugs?
Oh, sorry.
Events coming up, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So relatives, if you want to learn more and slide through, the Street Newsroom orientation at Poor Magazine is always on the first Thursday of every month. Again, it's not this Thursday because that's Farce of You Lie, but it's going to be July 11th, Thursday at 1 p.m. at 8032 Black Arthur. That's 82nd and MacArthur in Deep East Uchin, Oakland, right across from the post office. It's only a 1-hour meeting, so get there on time, folks. Speak your truth, learn about us, hang with us. Also, you can come and bring a news story there and get up on Poor People's Radio, which we have a pretty good listenership too. And I want to shout out to Poor People's Radio. Poor People's Radio News Hour. You can get it on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, podcasts from a PovertySkola. I release those pretty much every other week. I also redesign that word a little and say poemcast from a PovertySkola because I talk through verse.
Right.
And find that on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. It's a separate one that I put out for everybody who wants a little more Tiny in their life. That said, you can also follow us on Poor News Network on YouTube. You can follow us again on Instascam or Facecrack at Poor Magazine.
That's Instagram and Facebook. Don't you also have
and X too, aka Twitter, whatever the heck Elon Musk
and
is calling, and TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, relatives at PovertySkola, and it's Poverty and then no space SKOLA.
I don't know how you keep up with yourself, Tiny. I know you gotta go.
Wait, hold on. It's called TikTok to you? You don't have a new name for TikTok.
Oh, don't even get me started.
They have an adult version where you show yourself and it's called TikTok.
Really?
What?
No,
It's for men?
I'm just trying to give her some food for thought.
I played with that one.
Have you now?
I have. I'm gonna get back to you because of course where it goes is where you might imagine.
There you go.
Yes, but I don't know if you want me to read this last piece.
Go ahead. Oh yeah.
I'd love to.
Okay. So this is for all my sisters and brothers who, once we get housed, the problems and the struggles don't go away. Once we are housed, the trauma still sticks to our tongues and minds like lint sticks to gum and struggle sticks to time. Once we are housed, the screams don't leave, the fear of unknown loss you can't seem to grieve, the terror that right around the corner the sheriffs are always coming for you. Once we are housed as a never-ending list of problems we can't fix and people we can't call and fights we can't resolve. Once we are housed, all the other ish we were carrying spreads out on our new IKEA couch and says, I'm staying, bish. Once we are housed and no longer swept and get to keep everything we get, sometimes we can't stop collecting because we making up for when we lost it all and had no right to things or to rest. Once we are housed, we sit forlorn in our broke-down cars, our tiny yards, our old corner stores, and all the places we have stored in our old broken memory jars. Once we are housed and our broken minds can't seem to organize time, and we sit and we cry a silent, desperate scream, I just want to die. Because somehow we can't remember a time when we weren't afraid of life. And so if we aren't careful, we will ooze back into the crisis we were always prepared for. The strife we always seem to be there for. The houseless terror no one cares for. And that poem is dedicated to my beautiful sister Danny, new resident at Homefulness, and my beautiful sister Shiro Queen, who should still be here. But homelessness kills, and poverty kills, and isolation kills, and depression kills. Oh.
And this is so much medicine for people. I don't think
Oof.
until they really get into it, they don't even know that they need it. I know I need it in my life. There's times where we just came back from doing a book tour and I was like, oh my God, I needed to be around y'all.
Right.
And when I came back, I was like, I had a new vigor about myself,
Okay. Because you knew what it was about.
Exactly.
I love you, relatives. I gotta go.
And the dog was giving you the love after your last reading.
Right? That dog is an ancestor in him for sure.
I'm telling you.
We're gonna take a break, or I'm just gonna skedaddle and you're gonna keep it moving.
We're gonna go right into, I believe,
the community calendar.
That's right. And that's what we're going to do. All right, guys.
Okay. And you're on our community calendar. Thank you for coming, Tiny. Nice Ghetto Poet hat.
Tiny, everybody. All right.
That's her hat. Okay.
Right.
Love you, family.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming, Tiny.
Okay.
All right. That's one of my
Peace.